The Rotary Pacific Northwest President-elect training event brings together 9 Rotary districts, the world's premier training event for Rotary clubs, with over 500 new leaders from Alaska to Canada and all over the Pacific Northwest. And we've inspired future leaders like you all along the way.
Greetings, Rotarians from around the world. I am Governor-elect Jerry Kasanovic. I belong to the Rotary Club of Greater Corvallis in Oregon, USA. My district is 5110, part of the Big West Zones 26 and 27. There are 29 other governor-elects in my zone cohort. We are known as the Top Governor All-Stars. The 30 districts in Zone 26 and 27 are in the western United States. District 5110 is in Oregon, on the West Coast. District 5110 is made up of 64 clubs with a combined membership of over 3,000 Rotarians. My club is in the northwestern part of the district. We have coastal clubs from Lincoln City in the north down to Brooklyn Harbors in the south. The beautiful, accessible Oregon coast is public property, and it belongs to the people of Oregon. A 2-hour drive west of the coast is the Cascade Mountain Range, which divides the state, featuring summer recreation and winter skiing. The district is also home to the deepest lake in the United States at Crater Lake National Park, formed by a collapsed volcano. This past year, our district experienced terrible wildfires, but I'm proud to tell you that Rotarians stepped up to the plate with grants and fundraising efforts to support affected communities. Additionally, we honored and paid tribute to the first responders, as well as to the courageous pandemic work of our healthcare workers. On a personal note, I have identical triplet brothers, so if you see me, make sure it is really me. I will be the one riding a motorcycle in the district, one of the top govs in the state. Thank you. I look forward to a great year as a district governor.
We are certainly a different Rotary than we were last year, last decade, or even last week. Friends, let's move Rotary into the future right now. Let's grow, engage, and make change. It's up to all of us.
This is our time.
Good evening, Rotarians and guests. My name is Jerry Kasanovic, and I am privileged to introduce to you a remarkable individual as tonight's featured speaker. But first, on behalf of all of us at PETS, I want to express our sincere appreciation to you, the club presidents-elects, that have stepped up to the plate to serve during these very turbulent times. Because the commitment that you have made to serve is also a commitment kept. And that's what we will hear tonight from past Rotary International President Richard King. Rick King has served in leadership roles in Rotary for over 35 years. He's been a club president, a district governor, trustee of the Rotary Foundation, international director, chairman of the executive committee, and finally, as world president of Rotary International. Listen carefully to the phenomenal accomplishments of Rick King when he served as Rotary president. His term produced the single largest growth year in Rotary's history. 75,000 new members joined Rotary clubs. 1,158 new Rotary clubs were chartered. 795 new high school Interact clubs were chartered, and $67 million was contributed to the annual fund of the Rotary Foundation, the largest sum ever raised in one year. Totally awesome leadership. Rick King is also a military veteran, a successful lawyer, and a professional singer and actor as well. He shares a home in Livermore, California with his beautiful wife, Sherry, and I can tell you from personal experience that Rick King is simply an exceptional individual, an uncommon, inspirational Rotarian, and I think he will inspire you as well. It is therefore my great honor to welcome to the 2021 Virtual PETS past International President Rick King.
Thank you very much. It's good to be with you at this PETS, and I'm delighted and honored to be invited to address you even though we're not doing it in person, but doing it virtually because of the pandemic this year. But I want to congratulate you. You obviously missed the meeting that your club held last year where they chose this coming year's president, and here you are. And that's great. And I also want to thank you for being part of this PETS. It's a big assignment that they've given you. And I know this is going to come as a shock to some of you, but your current club president was actually trained how to do the job last year. So this gives you a chance to be trained on how to be a Rotary Club president. It's good to be doing this virtually for one reason, and that is that nobody can attack me. I was in Nairobi, Kenya, on one of many visits to that place just a couple of seasons back, when I was giving a speech on Saturday night at the Nairobi Hilton Hotel in their grand ballroom. Now, their grand ballroom seats 300 to 400 people, but 1,000 people were crammed into this place. They don't worry about the fire marshal over there. And we were giving a session on Rotary's role in preventing AIDS in sub-Saharan Africa. I gave my speech on a Saturday night, and when I got through, a group of past district governors and others were lined up to shake my hand, have a photograph, and tell me they liked my speech. I was delighted to see a 10-year-old boy patiently waiting in line in a dark suit and a white shirt and necktie, all waiting patiently so that he could tell me he liked my speech. He waited in line about 20 minutes, and then eventually he got right in front of me and he held out his hand with a lot of self-esteem and he said, "Mr. King, that's the worst speech I ever heard in my life." I was a little taken back by this because I thought a lot of people think that when I'm done, but you're really not supposed to say it. When a past district governor grabbed my hand, told me he liked it, and I sort of forgot about it, I looked up after a few more minutes, and this 10-year-old boy was in line a second time. And I thought, okay, his mother's made him come back to tell me he's sorry for what he said. He came and stood right in front of me. With a lot of self-esteem, he held out his hand, and he said, "I want to make sure you heard me the first time. That's the worst speech I ever heard in my life." And I thought, well, now I've got to chastise this kid, because you're really not supposed to say that. When a past district governor grabbed my hand and said, "President Rick, don't pay any attention to this kid. He didn't even hear your speech. He just likes to go around the room listening to what all the other people are saying, and he likes to pass it on." So I don't think there are any 10-year-olds in the audience tonight, so we can proceed safely. One of your biggest jobs this coming year is going to be to work with the district governor. The district governor has a big job, and he needs the support, or she needs the support, of all of the Rotary Club presidents in the district this coming year. You normally would go to a lot of meal functions. It remains to be seen how many meal functions there will be in your year, but there were a lot of them when I was a district governor. And when I was nearing my end of district governor down in Silicon Valley in 1982-83, my wife saw me coming out of the shower one morning. Now, my wife was a dancer in Las Vegas and Hollywood. Her degree's in economics and finance, but her great love was dancing, and she danced with Bob Hope and Dick Van Dyke, a lot of the great names in the industry. I saw her cross the stage one night in Las Vegas when I was performing down there, and I said to myself, there goes a girl who really ought to be married to a Rotarian. And I grabbed her away from that dull Hollywood life so she could follow me around the world listening to my Rotary speech. She's not listening today because she says, "I've heard that one 1,000 times. Try to get it right this time." But in any event, she saw me coming out of the shower with a towel around me that wouldn't reach. And I could tell by the look on her face, we were going to have a conversation I wasn't going to enjoy. We did, and I didn't. She went over to Woolworths. In those days, we had a Woolworths. And she bought a little trampoline for $29.95. Now, you don't get a big trampoline for $29.95. You get a little one. And she stuck it up in the corner of our bedroom underneath the rotary wheel in the ceiling, which lights up every 2 or 3 hours and sings my Rotary theme song. Sing out a song of Rotary, We're in the business of mankind. And we sleep with a nice furry dog who wakes up when my theme song sings and puts his hands over his paws and goes, ow! And we have a very enjoyable evening listening to my theme song and my speech from the rotary wheel in the ceiling. Anyway, here was this trampoline underneath the rotary wheel. And I said, Sherry, what do you do with that? And she said, you stick it up, you jump up and down on it every morning and you'll get fit. I couldn't think of anything I'd rather less do. But I thought, what the heck? I love my wife, I'll jump. Because I'm not as dumb as I look. So I began jumping up and down on this trampoline every morning. And I hated every minute of it. But I discovered on the third day they've got great reruns of Leave It to Beaver. And I got so engrossed in the plot that I came down on the edge of the trampoline instead of in the middle, and I broke my leg. And I was so happy this happened after only 3 days. And I could throw that trampoline out. And I got get well cards from Rotary Club presidents just like you, who loved and respected me as their district governor. And one I've kept close to my heart all these years. The president of the Rotary Club took the time out of his very personal year as Rotary Club president to write me a personal get well message. Dear Governor Rick, the Rotary Club of San Lorenzo, California, by a vote of 17 to 15, hopes you recover. Which I thought was a landslide considering that club. We were going to send you flowers, but that lost 5 to 27. So your job is to support your governor. Actually, your job is to change your club. I've come across a lot of definitions of leadership in my time, but the one I thought was the best is this. Leadership is influence. The leader influences people to a course of action. The Rotary Club leader changes his or her club from what it is to what it ought to be. And that's the job of the Rotary Club president. After all, you are Rotary's expert next year in a host of different Rotary categories. We rely on you to be the membership recruitment chairman of your club, the membership orientation chairman. We rely on you for membership assimilation, membership retention, membership extension, vocational service, international service, club service, community service, youth service. We rely on you for club bulletins, club meetings, club public relations, club attendance, club finances, club fundraising, club social activities, the club assembly, club programs, club projects, getting your members to attend the district conference, getting your members to attend the district assembly. You're the expert next year in the Rotary Foundation, Paul Harris Fellows, Paul Harris Sustaining Members, benefactors, major donors, Group Study Exchange, Youth Exchange, Friendship Exchange, District Grants, Community Grants, Global Grants, Polio Plus, Interact, Youth Act, Early Act, Rotaract, RILA, the Rotary Village Corps, pilot programs, peace forums, disaster relief, World Community Service, Foundation Scholars, wheelchairs, future vision, strategic plan, substance abuse, not yours. And on the 5th day, you can rest. That's the job of the Rotary Club president. A number of years ago, I read a speech delivered by Herbert Hoover at Stanford University. He called it The Price You Pay for Leadership. And I want to read you just 3 or 4 lines that this former president of the United States of America had to say about leadership. Among the delusions offered us by fuzzy-minded people is that imaginary creature, the common man. It is dinned into us that this is the century of the common man. The uncommon man is to be whittled down to size. It is a negation of individual dignity and a slogan of mediocrity and uniformity. The common man dogma may be of use as a vote-getting apparatus. It supposedly proves the humility of demagogues. But the greatest strides of human progress have come from uncommon men and uncommon women. The humor of it is that when we get sick, we want an uncommon doctor. When we go to war, he said, we yearn for an uncommon general or admiral. If we have a child in school, we seek that uncommon teacher who inspires our child to its greatest potential. If we're running a business of any kind, we want the uncommon salesman, the uncommon manager, the uncommon engineer. Indeed, everything that is good in our lives has come to us from men and women who have dared, often in the face of great peer ridicule, to reach out and be uncommon. And as I have traveled the world of Rotary the last half century, now to some 135 countries, many of them many times over, I've become convinced that more than ever before, Rotary seeks the uncommon president. And that's our invitation to you this coming year. Dare to reach out and be uncommon. 3 characteristics are necessary, in my opinion. First, a conviction that what you're going to do is important. Indeed, it's one of the most important things you will ever do in your life. Leading peers and leaders in your community is not an easy assignment. It requires the best that you've got, and it requires you to be uncommon. Second, after a conviction that what you're doing is important, you need to have a vision about your club next year. What do you see? What is the potential for that club? And finally, after conviction and after a vision, what is your commitment? Because I think that more things are accomplished in this world because of commitment, because of somehow somebody feels about them, than about education, money, power, or any of the other aspects of the human endeavor. What do you feel about what you're going to do next year? Conviction is important because you need to know about Rotary. You need to take advantage to learn everything you can. Rotary now is the oldest, most powerful, most prestigious, most influential service club the world has ever known. In 1,200,000 Rotarians all over the world, in some 37,000 clubs just like yours, Rotarians meet every week, and every second of the day they make the lame to walk, the blind to see, the deaf to hear. They clothe the naked, they feed the hungry, they heal the sick, they save lives, we bring hope, we bring peace. Everywhere all over the world, men and women of every color, every culture, every language, every religion, every politics, every profession, every business, every aspect of human life and endeavor wear the Rotary wheel. Catholics and Protestants meeting in the same clubs in the borders of Ulster and Ireland. Hindus and Muslims meeting in the same clubs on the border of Pakistan and India. And in the Middle East, same clubs meeting Arabs and Jews, meeting once a week to break bread together. I was having dinner one night with a retired general from the Egyptian army in the Second World War. And we were on the banks of the Nile in Cairo, and we were discussing Rotary's role in bringing about peace in the Middle East. And he said to me, Rick, in your country, when you have a problem to solve, you come together and you talk peacefully about how to solve it. In my part of the world, we don't do that. Instead, we kill each other. And then he went on to say something most profound that I've thought about ever since. And until, he said, we have more Rotary clubs in the Middle East, we will never have the peace we so desperately seek. Because Rotary is a vast private United Nations of private citizens the world over. And this is the organization you are called upon to lead next year. It requires a conviction that what you're going to do is important. Oh, I believe it's important to be successful in business. It's important to be successful in our professions or vocations. We all have kids we have to educate. We have mortgages to pay. We have retirements to plan for. We have bills to pay, cars to purchase, and all those things. And so it's important that we do well in our secular lives. Most Rotarians are successful in these things, or they wouldn't be in Rotary. But in my opinion, no matter how much success a person achieves in a material way, No success can compensate if we fail in the business of humanity, if we fail in the business of mankind. It is the only business we will take with us when we leave this life, the business of helping others. And Rotary is the organization, powerful and potent as it is, that engages us in this business, the most important business any of us will ever engage. Conviction. What do you know about Rotary? And after your knowledge, what do you see? Most Rotary clubs are made up of people who have a higher degree of education than the average, a higher degree of income, a higher degree of culture, a higher degree of experience, a higher degree of goal setting and goal achievement, or they would not be in a Rotary club. These people are highly educated, most of them highly successful, and yet we bring them to the Rotary Club meeting on Tuesdays at noon, and we start talking to them as if they were in the second grade. We set goals in our Rotary clubs that are so low that if we set our goals that low in business, we would go bankrupt. And unfortunately, too many Rotary clubs are bankrupt in the business of Rotary service. What is your vision next year? What do you see for your club? For these highly educated, highly successful people, what is your goal for the new membership development? How many new members are you going to get? You can't just say we're going to do better in membership. That doesn't mean anything. In my judgment, the question is, what is your goal? How many new members is your club going to achieve next year? How much is your per capita going to increase to the Rotary Foundation? How much per capita increase? How many people can you get from your club to attend the district conference? What is the number? It will make them better Rotarians and your club stronger if they come. And what is your project your club is going to do next year? These are the things you need to do in order to achieve a successful vision for your club. I was on the original Polio Plus committee for the United States of America back in the early 1980s. There were a dozen of us. We had no idea how to raise money. None of us were professional fundraisers. So we hired an organization in New York City in the business of raising money. And we said, what do we do? And they said, if you do what we tell you to do, you will succeed. We paid them a lot of money, and we hoped that we were not going to lose it. And they said, go out and set a specific goal for every club in the world, a numerical goal on how much money they're going to raise for Polio Plus. So we did. We got a lot of hate mail. A lot of clubs didn't like this, but good clubs hunged out, and they went about the business of raising money for Polio Plus. I remember a small club of 30 Rotarians. They'd been around for 40 years. And this club was always in a state of recession because the community, the steel industry was down, the coal industry was down, the businesses were in recession most of the time. And every time the governor came around to ask for money for the Rotary Foundation, they said, Governor, we can't raise much. All we can do is raise $1,000. In 40 years' time, the most money this club had ever raised for the Rotary Foundation was about $1,000 total per year, or a total of $40,000 over 40 years. It was not easy writing them a letter and asking them to raise $100,000 for Polio Plus. But they did. Not only that, they went out, and in 8 weeks' time, those same 30 Rotarians who had never raised more than $1,000 per year to the Rotary Foundation went out and in 8 weeks' time raised $120,000 for Polio Plus. Cash. It was an amazing achievement. What happened? Same 30 Rotarians, same eating place every week, same club name, same venue, same. Except one thing was not the same. The club president. A different club president who understood what the potential was for the successful goal-oriented members of his club. And he said, we're not going to be a losers group anymore. We're going to be what we always wanted to be, a successful Rotary Club. An uncommon Rotary Club president. Someone once asked Helen Keller. I've been to her home. It's quite an achievement to walk in there and see this woman who was deaf, blind, and unable to speak. And yet when someone asked her the question, Miss Keller, can you think of anything worse than being blind? And she said, oh yes, having sight and no vision. Now I know, I'm fully aware that some of your club members will not like you if you come back with these kind of goals. I remember when I was a club president, there was a high school principal in our club who didn't like when I said we ought to be raising money for the Rotary Foundation. He didn't want to do it. He was there for lunch only. He quit the club. But the club at the end of the year became number one in the district, number one in the Rotary Foundation, number one in membership growth, and the club cheered the night that they gave me a trophy as being the number one club president for the year. They were a successful Rotary Club, and they enjoyed being a success. So what is your vision next year for your club? If someone objects, go around them. Don't pay any attention to the naysayers. Give them the Luigi treatment. Luigi, you know, was an optimist. He belonged to the Rotary Club. And the reason he was optimistic was because he was bald. And yet every Saturday at 4 o'clock he went in to get two hairs cut off. And the barber was a pessimist and didn't like anything. And one Saturday on a rainy Saturday afternoon at 4 o'clock, Luigi goes into the barber shop and he's singing. And the barber said, why are you so happy today? Well, I'm going to Rome, Italy, to see our ancestral home. We've saved up our money. Oh, you'll never make it. They don't maintain planes anymore. It'll probably crash in the middle of the Atlantic Ocean. When you get to the country, everything smells. They don't pick up the garbage. And all those Italians know how to do is stand around on street corners with French bread in their armpits, singing songs, drinking wine, and making love, which didn't seem like such a bad idea to Luigi. 3 weeks go by and Luigi goes back in to get his two hairs cut off. And the barber says, well, I see the plane didn't crash. No, it was wonderful. They gave us 2 movies, filet mignon wrapped in bacon. The stewardesses were wonderful. It was a grand flight. But the country was a mess, I'll tell you. No, it was beautiful. Flowers everywhere, springtime. We went to the opera. And on every street corner, Italians were standing around with French bread in their armpits, singing songs, drinking wine, and making love. But I'll bet you got nowhere near the Pope. And Luigi said, it was the moment of my life. I knelt right in front of him. He put his hands on my head. He looked into my eyes. And he said to me, Luigi, my son, where did you get that lousy haircut? So you just have to ignore these guys. At every club, there's always 2 or 3 that are pessimistic about what you're trying to do if you're going to be an uncommon president. After conviction and after vision, what do you feel? What do you feel about what you're going to do next year? What's your sense of commitment? I've met many Rotarians all over the world. I've been to thousands of Rotary clubs, and they are amazing people. I could tell you 1,000 stories of people with commitment and the changes they're making. But I'm reminded today of a man who, with an unusual commitment. I was finishing my lunch on the 18th floor of Rotary World Headquarters in Evanston, Illinois, one day during our board meeting, when an old man about 90 years of age walked in, being escorted by a young staffer, one of the 600 people who work at Rotary World Headquarters. I was fascinated with the lines in his face. I couldn't take my eyes off of him. So I finished my cake, and I went over and I sat down in front of him, and I introduced myself. You're getting a tour of the building? Yes, he said. His eyes misted over. I've waited for this day all my life. Where are you from? I'm from Prague, which was then Czechoslovakia. And you're a Rotarian. And he began to cry. And he said, I hope so. I said, you hope so? What do you mean you hope so? Well, I was once a real Rotarian, Rick. I joined the Rotary Club of Prague in the springtime of the century. We were so proud to be part of an organization that had its origins in the United States of America. We met every week. We wore our pins with pride. We flew the Rotary banner outside the hotel where we met. And I said to my wife, let's save up our money. I want to go to America someday. I want to see where it all began. So we saved up our money. And I was going to go to America. But in 1939, the Nazis came to my country. And it was treason to be a Rotarian. We could no longer have a club meeting. We could no wear our pins. We could no longer wear our pins. We could no longer fly the banner outside the hotel. The club shut down. But a few of us said, well, why don't we meet in secret for just a few seconds, once a week or as often as we dared, lest we be shot for treason, to remember that we were Rotarians. And so we did that, Rick. We met for 6 weeks, for 6 years. For 6 years, we met secretly to remember we were a Rotary Club. In 1945, the Allies came to Prague. And it was a glorious day when, for the second time in my life, I was a real Rotarian. We flew the banner. We wore our pins. And I said to my wife, let's save up our money. I want to go to America one day. I want to see where this idea began. But 3 years later, the communists came to my country in 1948. And so it was no longer possible to be a Rotary Club. For the second time in my life, I had to not wear my pin. We couldn't go to the Rotary meeting. But we said to ourselves, well, we did it before, why don't we do it again? Let's meet secretly, in hiding, as best we possibly can, for as long as we can, to remember that we were once Rotarians. So we did that again, Rick. But this time, he said, we did that for 42 years. 42 years. I just stared at him. How many 42 years does a person have in a lifetime? 2, if we're lucky. I couldn't contemplate the trauma of his life in Eastern Europe during this century. So I knew I'd never make it to America, Rick. I knew I'd never see this place. But a miracle happened. Last year, the wall came down. You and Sherry have got to come. We're going to charter my club for the 3rd time in my life. And for good luck, I came here. My wife couldn't come with me now because she's too sick. But I had to come. I had to make this the achievement of my lifetime, to come to see where Rotary began. And Rick, once more, before my life is over, I'm going to be a real Rotarian. I saw him once. He stood a moment there. His eyes met mine and laid my spirit bare. He held my hand, then fell beyond my ken. But what I was, I will never be again. I put my arm around him, and we wept together. And I said, my dear friend, you've always been a real Rotarian. And how about you, Mr. President, or Madam President? This is your year coming up to be uncommon president, an uncommon leader of Rotary. The second president of the United States put it best when John Adams said on one occasion, only 2 kinds of people ever really count. Those people who make commitments and those people who keep them. Madam President, Mr. President, your club needs you next year to be an uncommon leader. Go now and keep your commitment. God bless you.
Thank you, Past President Rick King, for sharing your knowledge and inspirational thoughts with all of us. As an aside, I'm sure you noticed that Rick King demonstrated the hallmark of a great speaker when about 2 minutes into his speech, you could hear that train whistle as that train rumbled by, and he didn't miss a beat. That's the hallmark of a pro. Rick King's presentation to us tonight signifies the end of the beginning of your President-elect Rotary journey. In many ways, Rick King represents the accumulated wisdom of Rotary's past leadership. And by the same token, he's passing that leadership torch to all of us to carry forth Rotary's mission as the world's largest service organization into the future. As Rick stated, the job of the club president is to provide leadership and influence to club members, to become a trailblazer with convictions, to articulate a vision for growing the club and expanding service outreach into the community and the world. Implement your imaginative ideas for change, to serve others, and we will all grow Rotary together. Rick King said it best when he asked you to be the uncommon club president. Demonstrate that the commitment that you made is a commitment kept. Thank you for listening. Now it's time for all of us to roll up our sleeves and get to work growing Rotary. Dream it, and we can achieve it.
Hi, I'm Bev Reed, and I'm the Pacific Northwest Pets Chair. And I'd like to welcome you to my home because I know you're watching this from your home. And let's just take a few minutes to reflect on what the journey we have been on the last few months. In December, we encouraged you to go to the Rotary International Learning Center and to take a few foundational courses to help prepare you for your learning journey. In January, it was time for the core elements: foundation, membership, public image, and leadership. And we had some great facilitators to help walk you through those courses, and it was also great with the breakout sessions so you could share ideas with other presidents-elect throughout the 9 districts that are going through the same planning as you are. And what was important also is to talk about each of those elements of membership, foundation, and public image, not as its own isolated topic, but what you could do to really bring all those 3 essential elements together. In February, it was time for us to do a little bit deeper dive in the Rotary International priorities and strategies, each week with a different topic. Week 1, we talked about increasing our ability to adapt. Now, isn't that relevant with all that we're going through this year? And Thursday evening, we were highly entertained by Jordan Harrison. He was so fun. Week 2, we talked about enhanced participant engagement. And what does that look like for you and your club? And we were privileged to listen to the great message from our Rotary International President-elect, Shaker Mehta. Week 3, expanding our reach. And what does that look like and how you can challenge your club to take those next steps? And it was great on Thursday evening to be able to have Rotary International Director Val and Rotary International Director-elect Vicky join us for a Q&A session, so we could hear from higher level leadership what's going on and to also get some great guidance from them. Week 4, increasing our impact. And what does that look like? It might be from a local impact, or it could also be global. And what a great message Joan Toon had for us that evening. Now, I don't know about you, hopefully you were able to join us, but that 80s dance party was so much fun. And I know I probably entertained my neighbors a little bit watching me dance the night away. And today it was time to take our avatar and journey and go and connect again with a lot of the folks that we've been meeting the last couple of months. And I hope you were able to go to the House of Friendship as well and check out the vendors and maybe do a little bit of shopping. I don't know about you, but online shopping has become kind of a popular thing right now. So that was great as well. And again, the inspirational speaker from our past Rotary International president, Rick King. What an amazing, amazing guy. I've listened to him for many, many years, and his message is still stronger than ever, that makes you laugh and cry and relate to all that he has to say. So my dear friends, what's next? It's not over. Now it's time to gather all of those comments on the sheets within your courses and to start pulling it together. And what does that look like to taking your personal reflection and turning it into maybe some club goals? But you're not there to do it alone, because you have your district governor-elect, as well as your assistant governor and others to help guide you. But don't do it alone. It's important for you to bring your leadership team with you together to make that plan for how your club can grow this next coming year. And I do want to spend just a couple of minutes for a special, huge thank you shout out to all the folks that made this happen. For the past 8 months, we've had 80 plus Rotarians working to ensure we could create the best experience possible for you. Those being our district governor-elects, our district trainers, our curriculum team, and our curriculum writers, as well as our facilitation team and our technicians. And we also have our yearly operations committee for pets to ensure that our sale was full and we're always going in the right direction. So if you personally know them, please give them a shout out and say thank you. And after my short message, you'll be able to see the list of all those folks that made all this happen. So I just want to wish you good luck. It is going to be a great year for you. And I look forward to hearing all of the success that you and your leadership team will have. And to look to what is going to be relevant work for you this coming year and make it happen. Because it's time for us to continue to make change that's relevant, because with that, we will grow Rotary. Have a great evening. Take care.